So let's fast forward just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
to the actual you and Jay-Z moment. How did that happen? How did you not end up, at another label? How did you end up with Roc Nation and Jay-Z?
Well, my management actually stemmed from Def Jam.
Oh, okay.
One of my managers worked there, and and my other manager actually was interning at the time. And a girl that I went to high school with was with them, interning at the same time. And she called me, and I got connected with them. And shortly after they started managing me, we were, recording and putting demos together with producers in whatever studio we could. And I was performing at open mics and showcases as much as possible. Just doing the typical grind and daily hustle that, any performer from New York or in New York is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they left, when Jay and the whole Roc fam left Def Jam and started Roc Nation, we had like a sufficient amount of material to present to them. And so one of my managers kind of, sent some music over and tried to set up a meeting and whatnot in the very early stages of the label being put together. So, again, it was really a matter of timing. It was one blessing after the next. We took a meeting and took a couple meetings, and then it became a solid thing. And in terms of getting put on stage with Jay, it was very random and spur of the moment. And I think we all anticipated it would just be a one-time thing. Let's just get up on stage, fill in for Alicia real quick, sing a little background, disappear. And it actually generated a lot more attention and press than anybody thought. And so it was very exciting. I was nervous, and my heart was in my throat when I got on stage at Soundcheck for Madison Square Garden.
You held your own, though. You definitely held your own.
That was my very first show ever.
Wow.
It was Madison Square Garden. So it was massive. It was a massive moment. But I remember in Soundcheck, Jay, I was so nervous, and the band was kind of like, the MD, Omar, was sitting there kind of like, okay, don't worry about it, just sing. It's cool. All you got to do is sing. All you got to do is show up and sing. You know the words. It's cool. You'll be all right. So I started singing, and Jay came on stage and was like, damn, girl, you good. You're doing all right. And I was like, okay. If he thinks I'm all right, then I'm all right. So it worked out very well.
What kind of, with Jay-Z at the helm of your record label, what kind of advice does Jay-Z give Bridget Kelly?
Man, there's so much. I think the hardest part, it's going to sound very cliche, but the hardest part, I think, of it is being true to yourself and figuring out who that is first, because you can't really tell the truth and tell your story until you really know who you are. And I think I didn't know what that meant really until the last year of me not being on tour and of me just completely taking the time out to record and to just get my mind right, get my mind back into my artistry and what I wanted to do and what I wanted to present and plan how I was going to, put music out. And I think, he demands excellence, I think, from all of us at the label. I think he has taken the time out to really kind of get to know us. Well, I can speak for myself. He got taken the time out to get to know me and sort of assist in trying to make sure that whatever music we do is tailored specifically for me and for my message, and to make sure that it's genuine. I don't think any of us really wants to put out a top 40 single that's going to disappear in 6 or 7 weeks. We want to put albums out, classic albums from beginning to end that people are going to fall in love with.
Yeah.
And I think just based on his own artistry, he's positioned himself in a place where he can continue to make music that people love, because he's continuing to tell his story as it changes, and I think he expects nothing less from us.
And Bridget, we've been hearing about you for quite some time. Of course, filling in for Alicia on the Empire State of Mind. But why has it taken all of this time before we've actually had some material from you?
That's a good question. It has taken a very long time, and I asked myself the same question. But then, in finalizing these projects and finalizing the EP and finalizing the album, I realized how much material we actually have. It's unreal. And I think a lot of it is really just trying to be very masterful about what we put out and about what showcases my vocal ability, what is consistent with the concepts, and making sure that all the stuff is still kind of touching somebody in my audience that's gonna will be able to relate to it. I think it's taken a long time to develop and to put stuff together, because I'm a singer, and anybody who sings can tell you we can pretty much sing anything. You can give us a song and we can sing the hell out of it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it pertains to us. And I think I spent a lot of time in the early stages of the process just singing and not really connecting to what I was doing. So it took me a little while to develop that. And I think, with the right tools, obviously, the unbelievable resources like Neo and The Dream and Shay and Frank Ocean and, Red Styles and all these other people that I've connected with, it took me a while to completely open up and just surrender myself to my craft. And being able to do that, whether it's taken me 2 years or 5, I think that the album that I'm going to put out at the top of the year it's going to blow people away, and they're going to be just as excited about it as they are about just thinking about Forever song. Wow.
Well, Bridget, I mean, this, talking about this, evolving that you've been doing over the last couple of years, what can we expect from your album, and other songs? We got a little taste of your sound with Thinking About Forever, but what else can we expect? Because I know there are many layers. I've been YouTubing you.
Many layers. Oh man. Well, about a year and change ago, I really wanted to do a rock album. I really wanted to do more of like an Alanis Morissette Pink album, because that's where I was at the time. That's what I wanted the world to see. I was going through a really bad breakup and having a hard time trying to figure out if I was going to move to LA or stay in New York, and just find my foundation again and get my bearings. You know what I mean, for this journey. And it changed. I had to kind of go through a little bit more and dig a little bit deeper to get really where I wanted to be. And I think now sonically my album is it's much more soulful than I anticipated it would have been, but I also think it's more honest than I anticipated I would be. Wow. So it's very soulful. It's R&B, but I like to call it alternative R&B because it's not completely R&B pop. It's very honest. It's very straight to the point, and it's very unapologetic. And I think I love guitar, so I have a couple of songs that are guitar driven and piano driven, and I think the live element for me is going to be the opportunity for me to introduce the rock elements that are a part of me, my raspy voice. You know what I mean? I'm not a dancer, so I'll probably be jumping off of speakers and crowd surfing. I mean, I think now everybody can expect it to just be a blend of real music, and I think now is the time for that. I think the reemergence of that kind of sound, of that kind of artistry. You know what I mean? I think Beyonce putting out this 4 album completely threw people for a loop because it was just so deep from where she's at now, and sonically just made sense. You know what I mean? She was taking elements that inspired her when she began her career. You know what I mean? And has now transformed them to bring them full circle for where she is now. And I think that's people like Adele, same kind of thing. You know what I mean? Putting out music that's just completely from the heart. And I think the level of appreciation is growing for that. So I think people can expect me to really just go hard. You know what I mean? I'm coming for everybody's heart. Everyone's going to feel something in this album, whether it's 1 song or 5.
Oh, wow.